Nice to meet you again. Hi, Michelle Reyes. Hi. Nice to meet you. Tim, thanks for helping us.
I'm excited. This is a good thing to do prior to starting to dig.
Yes.
And I'm going to call the meeting to order. I have Tyson Leonard is excused. He had a commitment. He could not be here. Joe Johnner, I'm not quite sure. He might think it's a 6:30 meeting, so we'll just leave him be, but we can do a roll call.
Church here.
Jones here.
Reyes here.
And this isn't a hugely complex meeting. So, certification of compliance of open meeting, you're good?
We are good.
So we're gonna discuss the Beulah Heights culvert repair. I think it's at a 90% design stage, which is where you've gotta turn it into DNR for approval and stuff like that. We put a little agenda together, and we were gonna give Lynch the first chance to do the presentation. And then we would jump in, and Chad, you can kind of lead the effort to
Sure.
offer comments. So, go right ahead.
So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Tim Lynch with Lynch Associates and Dan Meyer. Dan is leading up the heavy design portion of the project with some of our other staff. But I was going to give an overview and then some of our technical questions I will defer, as I've not been quite as involved in that. But, so this, I guess it was, Tom, was it spring you came to us?
Yeah.
With the issue?
Yeah, like February when that first piece fell.
Yeah, so we started with the head wall issues on the existing structure. Noted some slumping of the head wall, some other issues related to proximity to the roadway, et cetera, noting this is kind of a big issue. And initially, when he said, let's look at keeping the existing culvert in place and just looking at putting a new head wall on. We looked at that and from a cost standpoint and not condition of the existing culverts, recommended that the culvert itself be replaced, so we can, instead of putting kind of a Band-Aid on the head walls at a very high cost, we could put in a structure that's a 50 to 75-year design height. So that's where this started of, okay, how do we want to go about looking at this? Met with DNR, came up with some different options. Kind of from a standpoint of our recommendations, initially we had kind of gone with the let's maintain or be slightly larger for the open. Opening size with boats is an issue. An initial design kind of comments came back from the town said that, hey, let's make this as big of a structure as is reasonable, given today's construction constraints and what we have. And so that's what we did. I'll get into some of that on the third sheet here. But kind of overview of the current plans. These are kind of a snippet of some of the plan sheets. The existing culvert is much closer to the roadway with head walls. What we ended up looking at from a cost standpoint and from a constructability standpoint was a longer culvert pipe with tapered head walls. So instead of having like a concrete head wall, the end of it will taper down, allows for easier maintenance and much less cost from the standpoint of that. And then the proximity, it allows reasonable side slopes adjacent to the roadway as well. So this, if you can look at the plan, this is the grading area to the proposed culvert. So the proposed culvert is significantly longer than the existing.
Like how much longer, like 10 feet longer, 20 feet longer, roughly?
It's 70 feet overall, and so you're probably like 30 to 40 feet.
Yeah, I would say about 10 to 15 on each feet longer on each side.
Right.
So it's going much longer because we're sloping down instead of having a head wall. You can send the breath. Second page here really is just showing the culverts along with some of the restoration there, and then showing the roadway profile. We're trying to match essentially very close to the existing. There's some real driveway constraints in this area, so there's some real challenges that way. But from a standpoint of the roadway, we're really staying very similar to existing. Just kind of straightening it out. There's obviously some undulations of the old roadway. From project extents, so culvert here, project extent is about 300 feet, 350 feet of new roadway that's going to be in the impacted area. During construction, I don't show it here, but during construction, we're going to have a temporary roadway for ingress and egress for residents that are on the far side or the dead end side of the road. This is kind of, I think, showing the most important. I'll hold it up a little bit. From a boater's aspect, this circular culvert is the existing 16-foot diameter. The proposed is more of an arch. It's an underpass. It's a corrugated metal pipe, but it's somewhat of an arch type structure. But you can see that at the water line, or just north of the water line, it's almost, well, close to 4 feet wider than the existing. And again, we're getting some additional height. So height-wise, we're getting about 1.5 feet taller than the existing. So we really got to try to maximize the height and the width for what's out there. We looked at, maybe we get some other options, but we looked at other options, and one of the nice things about this structure is it doesn't require as much cover material for the roadway, about a foot. We looked at different materials, and given that, you could actually lose some headroom or stay closer to existing. So that's part of the reason why we're recommending this color material. Yeah, anything else?
I think that more or less covers everything. We're also, as part of this, we have to talk to the DNR about it. We're looking at trying to remove some of the sediment that's in the bottom of the structure here, and we have to see what the DNR says or allows to do. If we want to work adjacent to the structure. I know there's been some discussion about opening that channel up, but we're trying to lower the on it as well. I know there's an overhead wire that comes across here that we wanna get relocated because we're gonna be working underneath the overhead wire. And then there's gas and telecom that we're still working with too. So we've reached out to them on the coordination, we're trying to get them to do the relocations as we speak.
What's the total time roughly, I mean, length of time of the project? Roughly,
Roughly, they could probably, depend on expediting, we need to work with them. I'd say they probably have it done 45 days, something like that. Depending on the contractor, what they want to do and their work conditions, so. Leaving that open to variations of times can greatly affect your bid costs, that kind of thing, so if you tighten it up, the bids are gonna go up because it's gonna be harder for them to get the work done, that quick, so.
It'll also depend on the timing of the permitting. I could also foresee a situation where you get it in almost pre-winter and maybe do a gravel road further and then finish up with the paving in the spring. So there's some, depending on when permitting happens and everything else, we definitely want to do the either late fall or early winter type of construction from the standpoint of the voting public and that, trying to start this project in July, for instance.
Go ahead,
And then
Mark.
there's certain limits with the DNR too that we, need to comply with as far as when we do the construction.
What kind of capacity is, go ahead.
Mark, go ahead.
I had two questions. The first one, you talked about tapering the walls. Now, when the head wall started to give, I was out there and noticed there was a lot of road runoff. Will the tapered walls aid in that road runoff, or do we have to
It'll
do?
be much more reasonable slopes, whereas now it kind of drops off.
Right.
It'd be reasonable, and I expect we'll be putting some type of riprap.
Okay.
in these areas.
Okay,
And also, so we did look at doing instead of riprap, but like adjacent to the structure, we're putting grass in here, so it's more user friendly, it's not impacting people's yards as much, but it'll be grass with like a CRM on there.
Okay.
And the riprap will be just around the water side.
because the road runoff was putting gullies in the property just to the south of the, head wall. Yeah,
This is on the north side of the head wall.
Yes.
We did
Okay.
know some, we're looking at replacing the culvert through here, with some drainage structure that comes down here to try to address any
Okay.
drainage here. If there's, on the south side, if there's, concerns.
no, it was the north side.
Okay,
I
yeah,
was
let
wrong.
me know, we can take a look at, okay, then we did look at the north side, and we
Okay,
did talk to Todd, he pointed that out, and, we're, trying to address that as best we can.
the other question I have has to do with the temporary road. Is there going to be a weight restriction? Because I'm worried about EMS trucks trying to get in there if there's an emergency.
No, it'll be built, it'll be passable.
Okay, thank you.
The permitting, is that purely DNR permitting? Or are there state permits, or what else are we required to do?
Permitting wise, yes, there's likely to be some forms we fill out for DOT to get this included with the bridge program for future repairs. But that's not permitting per se.
So-
Set up for the county too, as well, just to make sure that they're aware of it.
So you're tying in with their inspections and that kind of stuff, that's part of this? Okay.
That's something we're gonna recommend because of the width, can't get it wrong, now that we're gonna be expanding over 20 feet, we'll qualify for the bridge program.
So is this kind of the presentation, we open it up for questions now? Is that how we do this?
Yeah, the board has any questions or public, for sure.
As long as it's
So-
easy.
Michelle, do you have anything?
Not yet.
Answer, then we
Go ahead, Chad.
I have like 17 and a half questions. No, I appreciate you guys, thank you guys, and I'm glad that everybody showed up.
Chad, no drawbridge.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So all this have remotes like in our garage, but it worked out perfect. Yeah. I just want to appreciate everybody here, thank you, everybody from the town for putting it together, Todd Lynch, I know he's had to listen to me at Quick Trip quite a bit. No, I've said since we were having issues like, whatever we can get out of it, and I know you're talking about the road height and that same height? Would it, since we're paving it anyway, is it possible to, like, every inch counts, like, for us, especially on the other side, like, it's a big deal. Boats aren't getting any smaller, tri-tunes are pretty much,
Understand?
you know, and really, that's what I'm kinda looking for, and then, you know, also depth with, you know, getting the depth and the height out of it. I know it's a catch-22 sometimes, but, is it a possibility to raise the road if we can get so much material over the top of this type of culvert? Because if the road could be raised, it's just a question of foot, so that's a foot more of, you know, base. Would that be able to enlarge that culvert, or is that, no, not, that just isn't gonna happen?
We did actually look at that, raising it up higher to get, you know, more cover on there. What we started running into issues with is tying back into the existing home right now. I think this driveway right now slopes down towards the house and the garage.
Yep.
Yeah,
As we start to raise this up, that
Yep.
really starts to negatively impact him and can start sending water into there, so.
Mhm.
Then there's a resident right here as well, but the garage very close to the edge of the road, and when we start to raise it up, we start to really cause issues for those, two homes. So we try to keep with a happy medium and try to find the, elliptical pipe or culvert pipe that had the least amount of cover required on it, so that we could bring that pipe up to the top of the road as much as possible.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I ask, so this one, we're looking at a 50 to 75 year, you said, is what this fix is?
That's the design.
The design,
Yes.
okay. The one in there's been 78 years, if it weren't for the head walls, we would continue going, so. If it were a 100-year fix, my grandkids probably still wouldn't be, by the time we replace it. And we asked the start dates, I'm sorry. Emergency services, that's gonna be a tight, it's gonna be a tight squeeze. I know we have a smaller engine, that was one of my other questions.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that they would make the slope, so I'm assuming the temporary road's gonna be some sort of an easier, cause right now you come to the road like this from that, the one side.
You talking about the temporary access?
Temporary access road
Yeah.
that would go through, it
Yeah.
comes, the road's here and you come up like this, like you don't drive your car down there.
Correct.
You know, so I'm assuming all that's gonna be.
Only if you don't like your monthly.
Correct, but, that was just another concern with emergency services, those trucks get kind of long and they're heavy, and
And if there's snow there.
Yeah.
snow, so that kind of ties into my next question is there's a lot of trees there, and I mean, I don't hate trees, but these are kind of scrub, they're not oaks, they're not this and that, but is there gonna be a lot of trees that are gonna be taken out? Because of,
I would anticipate just for construction, yeah.
just to get, I mean, taking a lot of that up? Okay, and I didn't know if the ones existing, a lot of it would start messing with the culvert, with root systems, if we're filling all that in, does that get removed? The length of the culvert, I'm assuming, or guessing?
It does, we try to save the larger trees that are, you know, near the, project that makes sense where we can, and we kind of try to work around those, because I know that it's nice having tree cover, but it's also, you know, you don't want too close to the project.
Right, exactly, exactly. And I know you had said something about depth, so as deep as the DNR was gonna let us know is what the plan is?
It's a pretty large structure for as far as, depth. Right now, I think the existing culvert is filled in with 4 to 5 feet of sediment.
Yeah.
So what we're proposing to put back is roughly about 2 feet of sediment. Because at some point, we have to slope up to match what's existing there, so.
Okay, so you do put something back in for the DNR, or that's what you meant?
Yeah, the DNR, I
Required.
guess goes through the permitting, but they will likely require a natural bottom, which means some type of sediment over the bottom of the,
How about sand?
Is it usually like a clay, or, 'cause right now?
no, I mean, it's natural, it's pretty good with the silt that's there around there, it's
Yeah.
gonna slide in there anyways.
Yeah, because Todd had done a great job on pulling a bunch of the wall that fell in, but then we were hooking straps up to trucks and pulling them out, because you just couldn't reach them. When you walk that whole, it's almost a clay bottom, that we're all dragging on in the pontoon with nobody in it. So depth becomes very important, especially during the dry season. I just measured from the top of the culvert today, this afternoon, the headroom to the water line is about 7'5". So that's the maximum height in the center, and of course, it's a circle, so we start losing right away
Yep.
on the downward slope, so. And I stopped by the dam, and I think the lake is it's low, and according to some of the people that work out on the lake, it's low right now, so.
Do you have any boats currently that you can't, like, did you have to, when you're looking at boats, if you're living in that side, that you just can't, hey, I can't get this boat through?
If we don't get rain soon, there's gonna be a couple.
Well, no,
Yeah.
in general, hey, they're boats like, hey, I can't get this try to because I run enough header.
Inboards are a problem. I won't even take my inboard back in there, cause I know I'm gonna hit something.
Yeah, that's.
I walked mine through. I got helped out.
Yeah, we walk
ours is the problem that hits the bottom.
And the tri-tunes are, they're drafting less and less, so the height starts to be an issue just because, you know, your seats are higher and, you know, the walls and all that stuff. The boats are just getting larger and larger, so it starts to really become difficult. A lot of people walk through with the tri-tunes right now too, because otherwise you're gonna hit the bolts on the top, on the seats, because, you know, we're sitting there 8 feet, 8.5 feet wide. Well, by the time you come down in that 16 feet, you know, you're driving through, it's a little tricky at low speeds to be able to steer, so you end up walking it through yourself, so. You know, 1.5 is definitely gonna be helpful, and the width on the bottom, I think will make a good difference, but if we can get that depth out of it too, so we're not pushing the pontoons through, cause.
We'll do what we can, I think what's gonna happen is it'll slip back in.
You know what,
It'll slip back in, even if we jump, even, because we're in the Column area.
we'll take care of that.
Yeah.
No, you worry. No, I'm just saying, well, it does, it takes a big effort of everybody back there, you know, beavers take down trees, you know, windfalls, there's a lot to it being back there, and this is just a really important factor for all of us, so. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Another separate permit, not that we're doing anything with the town, but you can get permits from the DNR to dredge certain areas. I
Yep.
have not investigated anything with this for your lake or for any.
It's been kind of a discussion, but I think we're just trying to get the emergency portion of this going, and then I think that's maybe something to work on, but
You're
I
good?
think that's it.
I got one other question.
Yeah.
You said you're gonna be taking like 2 feet out to put this in?
2 to 3 feet, we're gonna, sediment, we're gonna remove.
So the current culvert is this long. Are you gonna be taking 2 to 3 feet out over the full length of that?
Correct.
Okay,
At the end, some might be sloping in, because we have to match that in.
right, right.
I'm starting to look at that, if we go out too direction, again, a lot depends on the DNR. Like,
Yep.
we're taking a lot of sediment out of the lake, so.
Is there a chance they're gonna say no?
No, no, there's some permits that's going to be, there may be some design modifications required, but no, we've worked closely with the DNR and Todd has as well. So I don't, it's no,
Is this Craig Webster, or?
Yeah.
They, from what I understand, I've been to quite a few Lake District meetings, and there was a big dredging project in Delavan for the watershed. And they were allowed to take care of that, and they had it filled in big tubes that dried out over time. Then they had to take it to a farm or whatever. So,
I think they pumped it to a farm.
oh, they pump?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, nearby farm, I guess. But I do know they have like, one thing I talked with Chad about is the DNR, or I think DNR has like grant opportunities for navigational dredging. I don't know, like a bay for a launch is probably gonna be more critical than, you know, a channel, but I don't know what's available that you're gonna have to explore, but, yeah.
So, sorry, then is this contact? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
So aluminized plate, or,
Oh, yes, Luminis, yeah.
do you know if they have that available though? I mean, are we still in supply issues, or?
We have to talk to them. When I talked to Eric Stern, my contact, a couple of weeks ago, I think he was 5 to 6 weeks out with it. So I can reach out to him with how much it is. I mean, if nothing changes here, we might need to talk to the town about purchasing the culvert ahead of time and then bidding the project, and then he would supply the culvert pipe to the contractor to install.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
So, like on the bid process for the timing, what happens if the contractor, say a couple or several that comes back and says, this is not doable this fall, this is a spring project? I mean, is there like gonna be a time frame where you wouldn't allow this project to happen?
per our DNR, so the town board's gonna be asked to, provide a letter to DNR, basically stating that they need to close this waterway down as part of the permitting, and DNR will give us constraints on timeline. So, it's essentially off boating season timelines if we want to.
And then just being wider and bigger, which I'm for, but see the sediment collection due to that, I mean, is the town or somebody's like, once a, every couple of years or 5 years, gonna come in and look at that and say like, wow, there's a big issue here?
No, it's natural water depth.
Okay.
What is the ends of the culverts and that wall is concrete?
So, coming down to the water's edge, it's gonna be vegetated. We're gonna put in like some sort of turf reinforcement here, and then have it vegetated, and then right around the water's edge, about 1 feet up to the water's edge.
And what's the hatch marks around the culvert?
This is riprap at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, like in the drawing of the circles and it shows the elliptical, what does that end, what's that?
That's just different types of fill material.
Okay, so it is not having a concrete wall like it does now, or it's not?
Yeah, that's just demonstrating like it.
Okay, because it's so much longer, you're gonna take it down.
Yeah.
When will we know, like, a hard start date? I assume when we get approval from the DNR. I plan to schedule some service work on my pontoon. I'm gonna take it out and then put it back in, and it stays in all year round. So I kinda wanna know when we're gonna start it, so I can tell the dealer, okay, it's coming in, and I wanna put it back before you guys start. I'll be done with it.
I'm looking at schedule, yes, actually, we want to get through this meeting, get everybody's input, go through DNR permitting. Once we have permitting, we're gonna talk to the town about bid schedule.
And is that when, I'm assuming anybody on that channel would be getting the letter, hey, once you get closer, you
There's
get
gonna
closer.
be some public.
A couple of weeks notice, at least. Let's get all of our stuff, and some of us don't keep it in all year, so.
Sure.
It's-
So
it's-
public notice, it's two public notices over 2 weeks, so there's 2 weeks of bidding, and then we open bids, and then it goes back to the town board for recommendation for approval. So the bidding process is approximately a month long already.
Okay.
So you'll know, there's gonna be lots of public notice coming along with that.
Where do those show up? Because I think, Chad, you put this on my door. This is all I got.
Yep.
So is that how they show up?
No, that was just me being that neighbor, meeting all my other neighbors,
Yeah.
just letting everybody know, I was just trying to be informative.
So how do we get nothing?
It'll be in the paper,
Uh-huh,
it'll be on the town's website and on our Facebook page,
okay.
so.
Do they get a letter too, or not? How does that work typically?
Could we get one?
We don't, I mean, we haven't mailed out individual letters in the past, but
Is it, yeah,
If you-
could we do an email list for the group here?
if
They
people
could
sign up and
subscribe,
put their
yeah.
emails out, yeah.
You could subscribe to the town website.
Yeah, if you
and
subscribe
then
to
you'll
the
get
town
all
website,
notifications
yeah, you get all the notices,
via email, or, yeah, just email us.
yeah.
Anything that goes on the town website in the notices or news area, I think gets shoved out to that email list. I get copies of that now. You do, you do
I
probably.
get it text and.
And you just have
Yeah, I
to
do
call us here and get it signed up.
How big is it, how wide is that gonna be?
We try to minimize that to be about, I think between 16 and 12 feet wide, depending on where it is. Where it crosses the actual channel, we want to put barricades on each side, so someone doesn't, go into the channel, obviously. And then after that, it'll widen out, so.
And then where's it gonna start? I mean, where,
Do we have that sheet? We didn't do some detail.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
Here, I'll do it that way. The concept for this is to kind of start with that existing driveway is here.
yeah,
Come through and we try to miss the majority of the large trees that are outside the project area and tie that in.
so there's the new houses there.
You can take them, tree. Just helps us later. Yeah. So you got some equipment, we don't.
Is it wide enough to shut the wall?
It is not wide enough for two cars. We did-
I'm sorry, what are we looking at there? I don't
This
understand.
is the
Temporary road.
Oh, temporary road, okay, thank you.
And which side of the culvert is it on? The north or the south?
South.
So one lane traffic. So you'll be able to see across the way.
Yeah.
That's the big
Yeah.
thing.
And that could potentially be all winter. And we could get started in the fall and then stopped and then finished in the spring.
That's unlikely.
Okay,
Even if we didn't have it paved, we'd be traveling over the new culvert
okay.
in winter.
Is there a way to get updates from the town, or like they do with the road construction, we got this completed, now we're gonna do this, this, and this, okay, now this is done,
Website,
can we get stuff like that?
website.
Or the website will just come on the.
I've been doing as much as I can with road construction when it comes around, to give people enough early notice that, hey, this is coming up.
It's been really nice too.
Yeah, that is nice, thank you.
And they're gonna have a project manager, right, Butch? So you probably give those updates.
For sure.
That's how they get out. Any other thoughts or comments or input?
I just wanna say thank you. It's a blessing.
Yeah, thank you, this is,
Yeah.
looks really great.
Yeah, it's a cost to the town that we didn't expect by any means. We looked into this, 3-4 years ago to do a repair on it. And by the time the repair came, it was actually too late. And we were looking at, I think we were looking at like $250,000 just to try and fix what's there. And now we're at a totally better, more bang for the buck, I guess you'd call it.
We're budgeting, what, 350, right, for this?
Yeah, we've borrowed 350,
Yeah.
between 350 and 360.
Is that like in a slope where you guys think that's where it's gonna fall?
I'll check back on that. I do have to check back on where the estimates are at. I worked with a contact with material supplier to select something that was large and reasonably priced within the range of what we can do, and then, have to go through and as we're updating these, we'll update the budget numbers, and we'll talk to the town about where we're at with our estimate for costs.
And
And truly, a lot of it comes down to the bidding environment at the time too. So we do our best to put a good close estimate together, but
Go ahead.
If everything goes as well as you could expect, I know that the initial, the date that was floated out there for the last month or two is like Labor Day-ish. So I'm assuming that's not
After.
Labor Day, it's gonna be
After.
after. Okay.
I've been just telling everybody, asked me, I said, it's not gonna happen until sometime after Labor Day.
Right.
When the majority of the voting season is already away.
So I think I heard you talk about next steps, like for the town to submit a letter to the, if we
yes.
approve this approval.
That's already been done.
Yeah, we've sent the draft resolution or draft ordinance to the DNR already for they gotta approve that.
Oh, the
And then
ordinance.
the dates will be
that's
finalized
draft.
for
Yeah.
final approval.
Right. Once they put their stamp, and that can take 60 days.
Right, we had to do it 60 days. Yeah, right.
And they've had it for.
Week.
So,
And then after that, you could prepare the RFP,
Correct.
The bidding.
The bidding documents.
and you give them 3 weeks to respond, 2 weeks to respond?
Yeah, so it's about a 3-week process. It has to show up in the paper twice, and then a week after the second notice, can be opened.
Okay.
So it's essentially, because the paper requires it 1 week before, it's about a 3-week process, and then.
And you typically have how many participants that you send it to, or you
So
just
it's
public?
bidding, so
Just
it's sent out
public?
it's sent out to the contractor community,
Okay.
and there will be some that will probably note.
Not bid, right?
Yeah, like, hey, so-and-so, this is out there, and kind of, not a special invite, but just to make sure we're getting the contractor we want to,
Okay.
and make sure they're aware of it.
Mhm.
But it's an open bid to, qualified contractors.
Right.
I've been doing the best to stay on top of the DNR saying, review this as quick as you can,
right, 60 days wouldn't be really very helpful at this point.
Yeah, Craig Webster, Dinock's a good partner, so, yeah.
Yeah.
that's what helps out.
Yeah, well, they were all over this at the beginning, right?
Right.
So you would hope they are.
I think February 20th is when we got the call.
So, the one thing that we've been sort of looking for is last year they went through a culvert inventory, so they sort of know all culverts that are in the state. This year they're going through inspections, but are they gonna be all done with those inspections this year? I'm thinking there's
There
some
was
that,
a length to the culverts that they were inventorying, I believe it was 6 to 12, 6 to 20.
20, yeah.
And then they're going to do the larger ones after that. So this now becomes a larger one, but initially it was one
Right.
smaller.
So supposedly when they get done with that, there's supposed to be money for critical culverts, and we were hoping critical, that's pretty critical, but it's, timing is,
Yep.
stinks, you know, but
That's a state budget question that nobody can really answer.
they did that on purpose. I know they did.
And you can't be awarded a grant if you already initiated work.
I know, I know.
So the, we also shows the width of this culvert to be 20 foot 3 inches. So that then puts you into the, funds to get state funding for, repairs on any future.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking
Thank you,
of that.
that's a great idea.
No longer a culvert.
We'll get a bridge ID number when it's all done, correct?
We'll go out and reach out to the DOT and say, hey, here's the form for getting a number, you know, what you want, what other documents you want from us. It's not a straightforward process. It's not very often that you take a, you know, municipal owned structure and put it up without DOT involvement, so it does happen, but it's not as common.
Is there any anticipated maintenance cost to this down the road over the course of the 75?
No more than a normal culvert.
I just have one more question. If it does come in, you know, over bid, and obviously you can't have somebody, you know, value engineer something, and obviously then with the width and the length of the bridge change then, and it would go up to rebid, and then back to,
I don't wanna speculate on that at this point.
but what happens if it is like a timing issue and it comes in 20% high? Is there other money that the town would borrow?
That's a
Yes.
fun word question.
Okay.
That's a good question.
It needs to get done. It needs
I
to get
think
done.
we're gonna be pressured by the DNR also to comply within a certain amount of time. Yeah.
I talked to Craig Webster of the DNR on a regular basis, and he's aware of the project. I talked to him after the town's meeting last week, so he was just interested in what was the next steps on that. Said we were gonna have this meeting approximately this day, and, after that, I'll be sending out plans to him if nothing changed. So he's expecting that the plan set for it to come into him probably the next couple of days.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Yes. Chad, were you gonna you said you got a whole list of all the people on the channel?
No, I had hard enough time counting exactly how many houses were on the channel. I found a lot that I didn't even know existed.
What did you come up with, by the way?
Well, mine was, I had 32, but two lots without houses. But I had about 32 is what I,
We found 36.
yeah, my chicken scratch, well, the old
I was a third.
GIS was says 39, so.
I counted 39 on that map.
Yeah.
Some of them are lots, and then there's, I think there's a couple of houses that aren't on that map. Lots.
If we could go on to the GIS, I did what I could, but I didn't get everybody's name and exact addresses. We
I'm
can
just
do that.
thinking for the email updates, if they wanna get in it, it would be nice to know if all of them got in there.
If anybody, would it be helpful in the sign-up sheet if people would put their email on there, Kim?
It
Would that-
sure would.
And where we signed up, if you didn't, if you could, and then maybe put an email address would be helpful.
Email address, or, like I said, if you call the town hall tomorrow, we'll take your cell phone numbers and we'll subscribe you to the website, which is super helpful.
Oh, yeah, a lot quicker and easier.
I get both texts and emails,
Okay.
so it's kind of redundant.
So just call it.
It's pretty useful.
Just call us tomorrow.
Better overdone than
Yeah.
underdone.
Or you can choose one or the other.
Todd, did you have anything you wanted to convey besides what has been at this point?
We've been talking about this for a long time, so. this
Yep.
is a well-needed meeting, so everybody knows what's going on. I've had a lot of people asking me questions, and I'm like, I can only give you as much as I know.
Right.
So Todd, some people are wondering, like, if we either vote out, we want out by Labor Day weekend, or?
No.
Huh?
Once I find out when they're gonna start the project, then we will give notice, you need to have your votes out by X date.
I would think that saying Labor Day would be a little premature.
Yeah, Labor Day, yeah, that's,
After.
I just, from all the discussions I had with Tim and Dan, we knew it was gonna be sometime after Labor Day, so everybody can get through most of their voting season. And originally, we were gonna try and start this back in June, and I think we were all been fun.
Is that gonna be just an email communication, or are we gonna do like a sign starting construction right
Yep,
as they?
we'll try and do as much notification
Yeah.
as we can, I'll put signs out, we'll email stuff.
Yeah. Then,
And I know a lot of us can we communicate also, or have each other's neighbors' numbers, that's always a great way to do it, too, you know,
Yep.
amongst all this, so.
cool. The one thing, Chad, I did send you something.
Yep.
I got something in the mail from Batterman, so I sent a copy of that to you. I can give you this. And then did a couple of quick Google searches on dredging. And if you need help getting connected with like the Delavan people, I can probably help with that too. But I'll give you this, and I sent you an email,
I
so.
appreciate it, I saw it just before I came.
Yeah. That's all I have at this point. Anything else from anybody?
Are there specific companies that specialize in this that you would prefer to have the bid?
Yeah, and it's a lot of your excavation companies, the Waniseks and the Reismans and the, et cetera, of the world. So I expect, I would expect a pretty good cross-section of contractors for this.
Good? All right. I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. There's a question.
I was the second.
You were gonna make. It's not a electors meeting, but that's fine. We'll adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.